Hey, welcome to the Runaways podcast. My name is Cody. We are back for another week, and we have Dan back. He is back. I don't know how many more times we're gonna get Dan. So I'm always happy when Dan is able to jump back on. I'm pretty excited right now because RTN season is going to happen this weekend. I kind of forgot about it, and I was like, wait, isn't it RTN? I went and looked up. I was like, when is it? I was like, this weekend I get to play Flesh and Blood again, and so I'm like super pumped to be able to get back into that. Before we talk about everything this week, Dan, how has it been? I know we're going hopefully to the same RTN this weekend, but how's your week in Flesh and Blood and outside been?
Yeah, it's been good. Again, hoping to meet you at the RTN on Saturday. We'll see if the baby has other ideas or not, but should be safe for this week, I think. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think what I did in Flesh and Blood. I played one armory, made it out to the local store. We're currently doing the format of see your opponent and decide if you want to play Silver Age or CC, and that's the round. So that was fun. I built like a Zen Silver Age deck, but it's really just kind of replicating how I like to play the Mistveil draft format with Zen, um, which is fun, but it's not really strong enough to compete with like the Iras and Briars that are streamlined aggro decks. You're just a little too below rate unless you draw really well. Got to test some of the new Arachne cards from the Slippy Armory deck. They're all pretty much as I expected in terms of like the stealth attacks, where they're not really the juice is not worth the squeeze, which is sad. They're fun. You can do a lot of cool crazy play lines with some of them, like Horrors of the Past especially, but you just like don't need that right now because the format got powered down. But yeah, I've been not really playing much at home either. I played maybe like I don't know 4 games since I was last on. Um, did a lot of brewing though. I've been trying to narrow down my Arachne list for RTN season. Nearly have that finished. Yeah. Otherwise, I did notably push a big update to my Metafy guide. I think that happened in between today and the last time I was on. Gave an update on my worlds list, on the Slippy deck, and on the ban changes. And I'm intending right before my first RTN, I'm going to publish the list that I land on with my sideboard plans.
Nice, because I might be stealing that so that I can play it in my RTN, which is also your RTN. So
Yeah, I think the one I have on the
good
Team
to know.
Fabry is mostly good to go.
Perfect. Noah, I know you've been doing the TFT thing pretty hardcore. Are we going to be able to eventually get you off of that and back into Flesh and Blood? Probably starting with this weekend, right? Right?
Yeah, last weekend I played at one of those cash tournaments that we have around here.
Mm-hmm.
So played KO last night at Armory as well. Um, there's some good news that I at least understand how to approach the Valda matchup now. So I think it's kind of a funny situation where at the very end of KO's lifespan is when I'll finally feel like, okay, I've solved all the matchups, and then he'll rotate, and then that knowledge
Yeah,
will be discarded.
I was going to say right before he goes away.
Yeah, exactly. Vincent is the only one left that is yet unsolved for me, but everything else I feel like I have, game plans into. So looking forward to playing it in RTN season. That kind of, the last hurrah, like you said.
Yeah, I'm excited for RTN. I don't know what I'm going to play. I mean, it's going to be like I could always default to KO because I have all those reps. But I kind of want to play Mario. I kind of want to play Jarl. Maybe I'll be that guy. And bring that. Obviously, Gravy Bones in the background. But I was looking at when product was released. I was like, hey, when does Heavy Hitters come out? But it was February 2nd. So all of those heroes are still at the normal like 1x multiplier. But February 2nd, they all go to 1.5x. Everything from Heavy Hitters, which is pretty interesting. So I did want to talk a little bit about what we think RTN meta should look like, will look like, and then talk a little bit about maybe what we think might LL from all these points that are coming in. But do you think there's been any real movement meta-wise since Hong Kong from our testing from RTNs? Is there a deck that you think people should just bring to RTN to try and win their RTN right
Well, I
now?
think the
Well, I
biggest
sure
thing is
do.
that Syndra just got deleted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like you're just not playing
Yep,
Syndra anymore at all.
non-existent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got replaced with Mario, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the Mario
Even
change
though-
didn't seem to be that impactful. Just you have to block with your hat to transform more than you draw the actual spinneret itself now. But other than that, like the core game plan on the deck, I think is pretty much the same.
So Dan,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you would agree. People should play Mario at their RTNs.
Yeah, I don't think it's particularly close in terms of like best deck right now.
What about Verdance? Verdance won. Mario doesn't
Yeah.
win anything.
Well, that's very true.
Well, it's RTN.
Nothing
You only
that's
have to
on
get
stream
top
at
4.
least.
True.
It doesn't matter about winning RTN. I mean, winning is obviously nice, but you don't
Yeah,
actually
no,
have to win.
If you're well practiced on Marionette, I think it's like a absurdly good RTN pick. As long as your meta isn't like entirely gravy bones.
I think both Marionette and KO are kind of in that camp of like, if you're going to play in a lot of RTNs, you just want to farm the XP to get in that qualification, or you just want to get into one top 4. I think those are two decks where just by playing in like 2 to 3 tournaments, you should get there, and at least one of them, or at least get enough top 8s to get enough XP.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I do think this is going to be the first like RTN season that I play in that does not have a Kano in it. The first PQ season, RTN season that there's no Kanos, and there's so many Kanos in this area.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to not have to ever deal with that ever again.
Dude, I'm just
What do you
excited
think
at
they're
the
gonna switch
sideboard
to?
slots.
What was that?
Which
Go
one
ahead,
of
Dan.
us? I was saying I'm excited about the sideboard slots with Kano Gun. I get to tech for so many matchups.
Yeah, I mean, you get to
Yeah.
decide if you actually want your null rune or not. Though with Verdance around, you probably do. But
Well,
you
your
get
no
to
rune
decide.
is your snapdragons now. There's no decision. They're just there.
I mean, for Mario, yes.
Yeah.
What do you think those Kano players are going to switch to?
Acilio.
Yeah. I think it's Ilio. At least for our local ones.
I see.
I don't know. My local Kano's plays Gravy, so it's Gravy and Kano are the two decks.
Okay.
Um,
I'm just curious to see like if those people are taking a break figuring things out, or if they're just like they had a backup deck, or because it's I mean, surely there were people who have been playing Kano for years and not touched anything else.
all the Kano players I know had a backup deck because it's been close for a while now.
That's fair.
And also at some point they decided to learn how to play the game.
Yes, a wise choice.
But I think that'll be interesting. Go to the first RTN season with no Kano. That should be pretty exciting. I do think it's going to be super wide. This RTN season is basically bring what you're good at, IMO, and then you'll just probably do well. Because there's so many decks that are just like in that middling tier enough that they can easily top 4. And top 4 is completely different than winning the tournament.
Yeah.
Winning the tournament is so hard. Like it doesn't matter even if it's like a local. Like it's pretty hard to just win a PQ. But top 4ing an event is completely different. You can get just a good top 8 matchup and then you're in. And you don't have to worry about having to beat every single person in the room essentially. If there's people that like, oh, I can't beat this deck, I can't beat that deck, you don't have to beat that deck. You can completely dodge it and still get your invite. So if you're hesitant about what deck to bring or thinking about if a deck is good enough, most decks are good enough in RTN season if you're good at playing it to top 4. You do have to go to probably more than one RTN season, like more than one RTN event, but it's a reasonable thing to be able to do on your pet deck. Which is why I think RTN season is so fun to play, personally.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't get to bring Lilith, or Lilith,
Wow.
Lyeth, to an actual event for RTN season, would be so sad.
That's
I want to be able to
new.
bring him to
It's the
RTN.
secret necromancer hero coming out in Compendium. You spoiled it here. We're getting Lilith.
That would be completely different than Aliyah. That's
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't even look the same. I did want to take a peek at the LL points. I don't know if anything will LL from this. There supposedly is 1,500 points. I am I don't feel like we've ever actually had a season in the last several seasons that actually added up to exactly 1,500. They've always been like shorter than that. And I'm unsure how it's going to work with the Silver Age as well. If it's less or more, but our heroes at the top are KO at 841, and then Florian at 828, Fi at 800, who's been there for a very long time. Prism is fourth at 784, and then Showstopper is at 769, who's also been there for forever. I don't think he's gotten points in years, but like theoretically, there are enough points for like KO to go or Florian to go if they won enough events. But it seems like kind of a big ask, in my opinion. I don't know if we're going to see anything LL. Do you think we're going to see anything LL from this RTN season?
I have a feeling it's going to be some on the cusp heroes. Like they'll be in that like 960 plus threshold of they could go, they could not go, depending on how the last week shakes up. So yeah, I think probably the best guess is that one hero will LL. But I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch just end up in purgatory.
Yeah, it really depends on play rates. Like looking at FAB right now, it's kind of crazy. Like everyone's playing Mario, it seems, who has not a lot of points. I don't know how accurate it is, but if you look at the 30-day, he's like 3x every other deck in terms of play rate. But the last week is like 1.5. Yeah, I could definitely see no one LLing this season. Is there anything in between RTN and ProQuest? Like big events? Or do we just like go right into it?
I'm not sure.
I think Japan's after,
I mean,
right?
there's
ProQuest?
like callings and stuff every single month that are going on.
Right.
We're actually
sure.
there's actually feels like there's way more points to earn just straight from like calling wins. Because of how many more callings there are that are going on.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say this season to me feels like one of those seasons where it just compresses everybody.
Yeah.
So we look at it feels like we're gonna get out of this season and being like, oh no, we're about to hit that avalanche where a bunch of things LL in one big move, like kind of like what happened. I think it was last year after Worlds, where you just had like a bunch of heroes just tip over the edge. I don't know if you've ever played the coin game where you like drop coins in and then it's like a pusher game and it pushes all the coins to the edge and they start to stack on top of each other. That's kind of what in my mind this looks like to me, is like we're stacking up all the points just ready for like that one season where we just topple like five heroes off.
Yeah. That does feel like ProQuest season.
Yeah. I would be I think we're in for a big shakeup then. But we'll have a couple new, or at least one new set before then. Hopefully push all these heroes around.
That may or may not have CC though, right?
True. Well, the second half of RTN is Silver Age, right?
Oh, that's fair. Just like changing.
Or is that ProQuest?
I don't know.
Yeah. I also don't know. You think we would? You think the information is probably out there, but it doesn't feel disseminated enough.
I don't think they would have a tier 4 event without Classic Constructed. So therefore, the qualifying season would have some amount of Classic Constructed.
Oh wait, Agreed. What was the question? ProQuest season?
Yeah, you were asking if it's going to be all Sage or if it's going to be CC, right?
It's half Sage, half CC. That's no.
Oh, it's half. Okay.
Yeah. The first 2 weeks, I don't know what the split is, but the first 2 weeks is one format. The next 2 weeks is
right. Yeah. They announced this a while ago. I remember.
Yeah. RTN is only constructed,
but they did not talk about the points. What happened?
I see.
Is it only 750 points now, or is it 1,500 points across those 2 weeks? Like that's the thing we don't know.
You're correct. Okay.
Kind of a big deal. We're trying to plan stuff that's going to LL or not.
You know what? Maybe they haven't decided yet, and they're waiting for waiting to see how this season goes. And then they'll be like, "All right, yeah, it's 750. All these heroes are
750." That's like a really big deal, though. If moving forward, we're like splitting the format like that, and the points are half, then like all the heroes are sticking around for way longer. Because like 750 points is like nothing.
If they cut it in half, that's like a whole hero's lifespan. That's a whole almost a whole hero's worth of LL points just dissipated. Yeah.
Interesting.
Indeed.
But it does look like, for the most part, there's like 3-ish callings, 2 to 3 callings every month that are currently on the books. I'm assuming sometimes there'll be more. So that's like an extra 150-ish points, 100 points, 150 points every month, which can make a big difference to these heroes that end up getting into like the 960 range, 950 range. Like,
Yeah.
even just moving someone from like, 900 to 950 is a pretty big deal on getting something close. So I'm not like expecting a bunch to LL in RTN season, but I am expecting it to set up a bunch of things to LL later in the year.
Mm-hmm. It'll also be interesting too if RKO. I think he's seen like a little bit of surge in popularity. If people just immediately drop him once real KO LLs, and then you can't run the Mandible Claw.
And they'll do something, right? They can't let the Mandible Claw go away.
Well, they printed a new claw, and I think the theory is that you're supposed to play this card that's certainly a weapon.
Yeah.
Certainly a weapon that fits with the playstyle of the deck. Definitely.
Yeah. That's definitely what it is.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it's tough for RKO.
I mean, he doesn't really use the claw in a meaningful way to begin with, but sometimes he does. Just with his discard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a huge way of being able to convert a hand, right? Like that's 3 less blues that help you convert your whole hand on offense. Because I'm pretty sure that card can only fetch attack action cards, right? You can't get like a villainous pose or something off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like now that card is much less efficient at converting your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. I think RKO is also great at an RTN level to bring.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I think that there's it would be interesting if we do this beforehand, of like decks that you can play if you plan to play multiple RTNs, where like you're just going to consistently do well if you're somewhat competent and know how to play your hero. Like you can get the required XP, or you can get a top 4 with these heroes, which will probably include a lot of heroes. I mean, it's like Dan said, the format's been down powered a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of the heroes just have powerful things they do. Like Kaisa is Kaisa. Like
okay, man.
It's really funny because I do the opposite. I'm like Kasai. I keep saying Kasai when I'm playing Riftbound, and then I do it the opposite here. But I think Kasai is like another Kasai. Kaisa is another one of the heroes.
No, you said it right.
Did I?
Yeah. And then you went back again.
Okay. Well,
I didn't know
it's completely mixed up in my brain now, so I can't untangle it for the podcast right this second. It'll be untangled at some other future
the
point.
Warrior of the Sands.
The Warrior of the Sands with 2 swords.
Yes.
She I think is in a really great spot to be in another one of those positions where if you know what you're doing, if you've been playing it for a while, it's another good specialist hero to be able to go to your RTN and top 4. Like you will eventually top 4 with this hero. It is just incredibly powerful, and it has good board states. And now in the meta, it actually is a pretty reasonable pick.
Yeah,
Verdance is still hard, but they've been showing up that if you go fast enough, you can kind of win that matchup.
Makes sense.
So I agree with that. I was looking a little bit ahead, like heavy hitters. It's really funny when we get to May, all of the misfail heroes will be at 1.5x. About that. So
that is funny.
And Bright Lights is officially 1.5x, but we never talked about it because it's just Dio.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
But
how many points does Dio have?
Not very many, like 400 or something.
Oh, I see.
Speaking of Dio, I think that's another good hero that we have a Metafy guide for, that you could play at your RTN and easily do pretty well. If not top 4, but win the whole thing. That hero, I think, is poised in a very good spot as well.
How do we feel about the Gravy Bones? As a non-Gravy player, I'd like to hear how that's going.
It's good. I still think Gravy Bones is good. And
Oh, of course.
it's so much it's more inconsistent than it was when I was playing it previously. And I just don't have a lot of interest in playing that game plan again. Though with everything else like powered down a little bit and the uptick of Mario, it is kind of tempting to bring it. But if Syndra's not around, then maybe you have a little bit less pressure on you to be able to answer fast decks, which can be nice. But it's still like you'll have games where you just are the best deck in the game, and then you have games where your deck does nothing.
Indeed.
And while you can get around a lot of that at like a local level to play, I just don't feel the need to.
Yeah, it
take
sounds
that
not
risk.
great if the goal is to top 4. Just like
Yeah, I could just
risk
play
of
a deck
random
that's
losses.
consistent.
Mhm.
Not that Gravy's a bad deck to bring at a local level. It's just like I just don't need to take that risk. I don't feel like it's like the other reason why I don't really want to play KO. KO is very powerful, but like I can just play a consistent deck and I will top 4 one of these events.
And then you can play live.
Famous last words, right?
Yeah. For the audio listeners, I'm putting the Joker grin on my face.
Yeah.
That's my response to that statement.
You say that now and then it just like never works out.
Mm-hmm. You can always build KO consistent, man. We just long for the power.
Yeah. We do.
You put the funny cards in the deck because you want to do the funny thing, and you don't have to do it, man. You can play him at 90% and he's still good.
Yeah, but the power.
I agree, but I'm just saying it's not like Gravy. Like Gravy, they told LSS said you cannot be consistent. They banned every card that's consistent. KO, we just we banned the consistent cards. We chose to put in cards that make our lives miserable sometimes in exchange for the power. It's very Sith-esque, you know.
I don't know. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I wish I could play Slippy. That's what I really want to play.
Mm-hmm.
But that is
if
that
I had
is
more time, I would be
garbage
brewing
right now.
I'd be brewing a lot of Slippy if I had the time. Like all the cool things I want to do with the new stealth cards in Mario is like actually possible in Slippy. I don't know if it makes it good, but
then you play against all these Marios running around and then you cry.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I can solve it.
You think any deck in FAB is going to let you do cool things? Like if you just look at the trajectory, let's look at like heroes that are widely played and decent right now. There's like Mario, Verdance, Gravy, KO, and then aggro decks. I think the Verdance is probably the only deck where you actually get to do like funny things against. Like they, for the most part, outside of the Felling and Plow, let you just like play your hands into them. But the other decks are kind of constraining you to either be on a fast clock where you don't really have time to set up like the funny plays with these cards that kind of aren't that good but are really good if you combine them all together. Or Gravy Bones, which just like forces you to deal with board. So I just don't know if there's actually space in FAB for playing these like funny decks anymore that aren't something like Kano where the funny deck is the funniness of the play is completely uninteractive and kills you.
I think it depends on what you're considering funny, like the funny play. Because like
when I'm thinking of Dan, I'm thinking of like the Horrors of the Past, like these types of cards that are like I'm gonna do like Creep, Horrors of the Past, like some like 5 card setup of like 4 specific cards kind of thing, you know?
I think the issue with the current funny cards is that the payoffs is not worth it. Like the previous funny card was Bonds, and that was like so worth it. And that's why you saw decks warp a little bit around that. Where like right now, like Horrors is not even close to being worth
I just think that the funny plays that involve many cards in your hand being specific are dubious. Whereas Bonds, like it just gets turned on by your equipment and like one react.
Yeah, but it also made like your other funny cards better, like Nick and Mantle and.
Yeah, I agree. But it existing enabled lots of plays that were like 1 to 2 cards of specificity in your hand. That word always kills me. Whereas like the current design of these cards, they're primarily existing in Assassin, but they also exist in like other unplayable heroes, surely, like Max probably. Or like you have to assemble a bunch of those like specific cards on one turn and then resolve them all on that turn for it to really go crazy. Acilio kind of escapes this judgment. He's a little bit like that, but he escapes the judgment given that it's really just gone in a flash and then a bunch of redundancy. So I think that concept of like the funny plays will still exist, but the specific multiple card setups, it's kind of like the point I've been talking about for the past couple months of like how you can't Arsenal. I think that also lends itself to why the funny turns of like multiple specific card interactions are a bit harder to build your entire deck around in this day and age.
Agreed. Quick, I think, anecdote about that. Testing against Kasai is so refreshing because they do not touch your arsenal, and you
Yeah.
get to set up all the cool plays.
Yeah. That is certainly
I don't know. If I was playing Kasai, I would figure out a way to play CNC at least.
Yeah, something. Also, Kasai has a decent amount. Like, I just think in general that one of the strengths of Dorinthia, right, was that when you had redundant go again, and your opponent was just not interacting with you at all, you got to really punish them on every turn cycle by swinging the third time. But now with Kasai, you don't necessarily have that because most of them are not playing any physical attacks like the Nourishing Emptiness, Strike Gold, CNC, whatever, Snatch, some kind of like Chain Ender type card that lets you profitably use multiple go against. So yeah, maybe something like that to deter aggro decks from just like, okay, your damage ceiling is relatively capped outside of the turns you make sell swords, so I'm allowed to just sit on this arsenal and wait for a big pop off, deny you shoes value, etc.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, she's another good example of just one card funny plays. Like, she has a lot of those, like Raise an Army and Blood in Her Hands, etc. But those are all like independent of other cards.
And they don't require those are that's actually, it's good you brought that up. That's one of the reasons why I think decks like that fundamentally suck, where you have to draw these like starter cards, the ones that make the resource on the board, then you want to draw the payoff cards after. I hate when like you have to draw the cards in the specific order to make them resolve for greater effect. Obviously, in theory, you're like, oh yeah, Raise an Army and Blood in Her Hands, they're yellow, like you pitch them. Okay, sure. Not every game makes it back around to that second cycle. Not every game you have a hand where it can function normally off of a yellow. Sometimes you are stacking value that way. So I think the that concept as a game plan is definitely good if you see the cards in the proper order, and good in the sense of you don't need to see them all on the same turn, but bad in the sense of you got to be shuffle god.
Yeah, I mean, Verdance feels that way, or at least used to.
This is why I don't play any of these kind of decks. This is a pattern I just like don't enjoy getting into. It's like actually one of the reasons why. Okay, yeah, here more about myself. This is one of the reasons why I hate other card games that are like not FAB and Yu-Gi-Oh, because all of them have this kind of sense to me of like, I want to draw my 1-drops and 2-drops first, and then I want to play my 3-drops and 4-drops. This kind of like concept of curve. When you talk about like Spoils of War into Blood in Her Hands, or like resolving gold throughout the game and then Raise an Army, it feels a lot to me like that aspect of like I want to draw on curve in other card games, just in the FAB system of like drawing 4 cards every turn. But yeah, instead I'm just like swapping, similar idea like you said with Verdance, where you want to like in the early game draw the Decomposers, then in the late game draw like your life gain cards to profit off your hero power. I just don't really like enjoy that type of a play pattern. I guess that's why I've not played those decks in FAB and why I've not liked other card games.
That was why Slippy was the best.
Yeah, exactly. You'll notice a very common theme. I'm extremely consistent in the types of decks that I play. They're
Well, how
doing
about
their
the
thing every
Florian
turn,
then?
man. What's up?
How do you explain the Florian?
Well, Florian was different in that I didn't really care about his hero power. Like I made the deck around CMH and being able to like play the game every single turn, ideally. Having enough blues to where I'm converting them to 4, and then it's just kind of like a busted aspect of the hero that in the late game I have a good late game because my hero power is good, and I'm kind of offsetting that because I'm playing a lot of 2-block cards. So I'm like relying on the fact that my hero is just naturally going to be good in the late game and playing a little bit worse blocking cards when I am in that late game and my hand is full of more 2 blocks. And also you can screw all the rules when you have Face Purgatory on the board, man.
Yeah, that's fair. Good card.
you get to skip one aspect of the cringeness if you just like have a reset button at any point of just like, okay, I'm shutting down any funny business you're doing.
No, I think you're running out of decks though. I'm looking at the list
Oh
of
yeah,
heroes.
why do you think I'm playing
And
TF2
there
then?
are
What other
so
decks can I play?
few heroes that you can actually play.
Every deck sucks, dude. Nothing fits my criteria. I'm really hoping for Pen to come out. That's another reason why I always talk about Jarl. But then Jarl is like the biggest offender of this. It's like you want to find the crumble, you want to get rid of their equipment early, and then you start playing the game. Like that sucks, dude.
No,
yeah,
no. You just play fatigue. Then you don't care about any of that.
True. Yeah, I guess I could just do that.
You just want to heal, and then if they leave you with a card, you just cornet peek them, and then move on with your life. You don't even swing at them. You're not even hitting them with a hammer. You're just cornet peeking them.
Yeah. Maybe I try that style of deck. I've just, on a separate note, not really been one to play that style of deck before too, because I'm like, I don't know. As much as I enjoy winning, I also enjoy like when the game is enjoyable, like when there's game being played. So
Also, when it's in your hands.
yeah, like when I'm actually able to engage with the game, yeah, and feel like I'm advancing the game towards some conclusion that I want instead of just hoping my opponent loses.
True.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at all these heroes going, I can't go to any of these.
I can't
there's
play any hero, man.
There's a question I've been thinking about for a while about Slippy. Did it really need to have, like, we both get this effect because it was too broken? Because I look at this here and I don't see that currently.
I also look at like Riptide and Slippy too. Like, do they really need to have 38 HP? Like, was it really that 2 HP is like holding down Riptide from being the meta dominant king? And then yeah, this Slippy, like the whole affecting both players. Like, I don't know. I feel like they could have chosen either one or the other, either 38 HP or that effect affecting both players. But doing both seems like it's a bit heavy-handed.
Because even if it didn't have the dual effect, it still wouldn't really be in a good spot right now.
You don't think so?
Now, Verdance is like still an issue to play against.
I feel like that has to be solvable. I don't know. If it didn't have the dual effect, I would probably be playing Slippy right now.
I mean,
Or
with
like
Bond's
attempting
gone, I would be attempting to play it. But like
Yeah.
Kasai running around and
Oh, Kasai's for sure fine. Just give him some frailty, man.
yeah, I guess if they cut all their D-reacts. See, when I do realize that they're running healing and they're running D-reacts again. They're not playing as all in on the aggro side as they
That's
used
fair.
to.
I mean, I don't really understand Slippy, but I would build it like Mario and just have a dagger sideboard for that type of matchup.
I don't know about that one.
No? Is that no good? 0-4-4s aren't good anymore?
How are you getting a 0-4 out of your dagger in Slippy?
No, like
You
all the
gotta
pumps are
switch your dagger.
0-4-4s.
Yeah. But then it defeats the whole purpose of it being the same card this way and this way.
Yeah, you're playing all
That's the nice part. It's like you it's either the same this way or it's the same this way.
That doesn't seem very good right now, though.
This is what we're saying. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like
page.
why does it need so many negatives? Like,
Yeah, but why can't we innovate and have some block twos? Surely
Because
that deck
Mario
plays
already
like Codex
did.
of Inertia even better.
Like
if
if
you're
you're
into that.
stacking up your damage number high,
Hmm.
why would you not just play Mario because he stacks it 1 point higher? The point of Slippy is for like the modality and the go again and the trickiness of playing the reacts.
Oh yeah, I'm just proposing this as like a sideboard plan for the matchups where they play like Infinite D-React.
I think in Assassin it's really hard to have a super transformative sideboard plan just because the fact that like you want to play the different types of equipment, you need to run 2 daggers. You probably want to have matchups where you're playing D-reacts versus not playing D-reacts. So like having D-reacts as part of your sideboard, like sigils as part of your sideboard, and this transformation of like dagger focus versus stealth focus. Like in Slippy, you're traditionally playing like the spikes to work with Kiss, or you're playing like Razor's Edge and stuff. So it seems difficult to be able to like side out all of those and side out the D-reacts and like maybe sigils, and then also have enough equipment to cover different matchups. I don't know.
It's possible. I think it's doable though. Incision's always the glue. It does your block
Never
3
know.
thing.
We'll never know the answer to this question. but I don't mind reactions that block for 3.
Yeah. I was never a fan of putting a card in the zones a little bit to the left of my deck when I was playing Slip Through the Cracks. This was not a technique that I enjoyed, but I did it when I had to.
Mm.
Your daggers just sit there the whole game.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't swing with them.
The
The only time I swing with daggers is if they're fatiguing me.
I swing a dagger, yeah, if I'm getting fatigued, or if I want to have 2 floating to codex for CNC. Those are the prime dagger swinging opportunities.
True. I do look through. Well, Ira fits everything that you want to do.
Yeah. Ira is certainly one of those decks that I could play. Maybe it's something I'll explore. Playing Ira just feels like I'm playing worst KO though, because it's kind of like a similar concept of a deck where you just want to be attacking every turn to generate your +1, but you have way less interesting attacks to be using. But yeah, it's definitely a deck I could consider.
Well, the real issue is that its damage ceiling is capped.
Yeah.
In most builds. Most builds, its damage, it can only do so much damage.
Yeah.
That is definitely not the case with
It
KO.
can only do so much damage, and it has trash armor.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad part.
Yeah.
Of the deck.
Especially because in KO I've like started playing scabs again too, just like really fridging it up, man. It feels good.
That's a bit aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Acilio has not been turning up at the last couple of events. It actually didn't have a very good win rate into Gravy, which is kind of surprising. As much as do we think that there just weren't Acilio players at these last couple of events, or
yeah?
What? Because I think the deck should be positioned like really well.
Yeah, but also like the Kano slots very like conveniently transition into Amulet of Echoes if you want to continue to beat up on wizards.
Yeah,
I think it's probably a mix of that and Acilio not being played.
If you want to really innovate a deck, it's like figure out a way to play Acilio that doesn't rely so much on just like going all in on a Gone in a Flash combo on like as fast as possible to beat aggro decks.
Well, Noah, have you heard about the all arcane Acilio deck who almost topped a calling earlier this year?
Yeah.
No one expected it, and they didn't put arcane barrier in, and then they just got blown up by spells. You can do that now.
Yeah.
Maybe not in an RTN level, because
maybe not I can do that now, but a human being can do that now for sure.
Yeah. There's your innovation.
Yeah.
Then you just hope people still keep not putting their Null Rune in. Because I do not know how you win if they put their
playing no Null Rune and playing a dead Amulet of Echoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine dude, they play this blue that doesn't even get 3 value as AB because it's just uncastable. They put it on the board. It must be good.
I don't know. I swear, every time I put Echoes on the board, I still lose anyway. Like, it's just,
yeah,
they just play around it. It's just like not that big of a deal.
I see.
Has anyone won a game against this? Because in our testing, we would just like start the game with like Echoes on the board, and then I just lose anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably depends on what deck you're playing. I haven't really gotten to test with it much.
I don't know. My experience is that your deck still needs to be able to like pretty aggressively close the game while running Echoes. Like, it's not just like put Echoes and then play some mid range. Like, you're still gonna lose to them just being like their normal turns are enough damage.
Yeah.
Also, I would play against people, they just have like burn bears and stuff. So it's like you're like Echoes and they're like, oh, okay, here's an attack, another attack, here's a burn bear for 8. And you're like, but Echoes. They're like, yeah, here's a burn bear for 8. You're like, okay, I guess I lose. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to. You're pumping burn bears at me over here. So
yeah, that's fair. I think the theory is good for like playing it in Mario, because typically that matchup, the game state's like you're at like 26 and they're at 10, and then either they murder you or you disrupted them, and you close the next turn.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, if you're that fast,
you have to like be ahead. Yeah, a deck that's already like pressuring.
I can see that work. I was playing it in like with like Gravy and a couple other things to see if the sideboards mattered, and you know, occasionally it would come up where the Echo would matter, but like the game is so long and they had so many ways to stall it out by like shocking your dudes when you swing in that it's just like what am I doing? Like I'm putting this in, and they're just killing me playing a normal game.
Yeah,
And
makes
so
sense.
I think it's not. I think the Echoes is not as scary if you don't actually have pressure to follow up with it.
Agree.
It's really good when you squeeze their game plan into, hey, you must kill me within this amount of turns to play the game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it plays like Warmongers in those decks too. Where you just like end the chain when they're like
Yeah.
take all your damage to combo them and they can't.
I mean, that's pretty good. They take all your damage to combo and then they can't.
Yeah.
Unless they do shenanigans and then like they don't have a hand when Echoes or something goes off.
Oh
I
yeah.
have seen
I was always
stuff like that happen. Yeah.
For sure.
Cool. Any other heroes in here I think are relatively interesting or can come out and do something? Is it ever Bolton time?
No.
They keep giving this man more cards, but I don't think it's ever been Bolton time.
No, not Bolton
No.
time. Reinar kept popping
No.
up last season. I believe in my buddy's Medax Reinar. I'm sure he'll top all the events
In
again.
Silver Age or in Constructed?
Constructed.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 1 card 5. It's insane. And intimidates. It's crazy value.
Okay. Maybe that's the
Someone
key.
like had a deep calling run too. It was like a popular thing for like a week.
I believe. Oh, Feng. Feng was like popping off. Where that guy been? Is he dead?
People love playing bad heroes, man. Why do you need to
but
play
he was.
I don't
he
know.
was like-
He was like best deck in format for like a day.
He was very good for a very small amount of time.
I'm too uninformed to comment on this.
He fits into
Well,
my box of not flesh and blood playing on curve heroes, so
Oh, big time.
I don't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah. Of course you can't play him, but
Yeah.
It's way outside your wheelhouse. How's the Mario matchup?
Mario's at least was pretty ahead. If you play the right cards, you want to play your block fours to stop the like attacks that on hit would. I don't know. Basically, you just stall out the game. You deny the third fealty, and then they're at like 10 when they get the third fealty, and then you pivot into here's Tarantula Toxin.
Gotcha.
It can be
Fang is
close,
just like
but it's kind of like a side.
like
There's no disruption.
Gravy Bones, in that you have to like do some setup of board state and theoretically take damage, and then like, okay, now you're lit, like you got things rolling, but it's not Gravy Bones in the sense of you don't have men on the board. You have fealty on the board, and the fealty don't actually attack. You have to keep drawing these cards every turn that let you actually profitably use the fact that your swords are free.
Yeah, and sometimes you lose those fealty because you got disrupted by Kiss of Death Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was gonna say the most interesting part about playing against Fang for me is when they have like 2 fealties out, and now and you know they can't block. Like they can only block with so many cards. And so you're playing the whole like once they decide that they're trying to get turned on, you're playing this game where can I output enough pressure to really punish them for the fact that I know they cannot give me their whole hand.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're playing a deck that can do that, I find that part of the game to be pretty fun to play.
Yeah, just make them pitch that red.
Yeah.
Feels so good when they pitch the red.
Yeah.
Every extra turn, it's like, oh.
It feels so bad when they just have the blue every turn, though. And they're just like, block 2 cards, blue thing, do thing. You're like, come on, stop it.
Yeah, agreed.
You're not supposed to draw blue every turn.
Yeah. But no, Cody, the Mario matchup is exactly like Mario into Prism. You just play Don't Touch Me, and you chip away, and all of a sudden they're at like single digits, and you're at 40, and then they start playing the game.
I guess Prism is a better analogy than Gravy there, yeah.
Fair. The Huntsman was pretty popular at some parts this year. That has seemed to have gone away. But
yeah, I don't know what's matchup spread. I know like fellow Mario enjoyers are kind of scared of this deck.
ooh, if it's good if it has any game into Mario, it's pretty good.
I haven't seen
pretty
it,
nice.
But makes sense in theory.
My issue with the Huntsman was I couldn't beat Syndra. They all kept telling me that somehow they could beat that matchup, but in the end, I don't think they could. As we found out, but I could not remotely come close to winning that matchup as the Huntsman.
Well, now you don't have to.
Now I don't have to. I don't know. I'm curious to see what the meta actually looks like at a local level. Like, how many people have actually stopped playing Syndra at like the local level, the RTN level?
Yeah. I mean, it's also localized. Like last ProQuest season, when it was the Verdant's Gravy Syndra triangle, one of my ProQuests, there was like one person that played any of those 3 decks, and I brought Fatigue Jarl like a fool. That was the one where Eugene Scene was there on Rhinar. I was like, how is this happening?
Mine were pretty balanced, except for like I went to one store and it was like 50% Syndra, and then I'd go to another. The other 2 stores I'd go to would be like 2 Syndras in the room. Like, these are dramatically different play experiences.
Yeah, that's why, like you said in the beginning, you just play the deck that you're good at playing and you like playing for RTNs because you set the top 4.
Yeah.
If it's ProQuest, you target the best players and try and figure out what they're bringing and just counterpick.
True.
Indeed.
I think that is mostly all of the heroes that we could look at playing. I mean, Puffin's probably better than it was before. Puffin was like on the edge of when things go right with that deck. Again, it's another deck that Noah will never touch because you want to draw things specifically for the deck to function.
Of course, yeah.
Not really the same way where it's like I need to draw it in order, but you just like need to draw. I need to draw this
every
type
hand
of card
is
and this type of card, and then
Yeah.
play the game.
every hand is a 4-card combo of like cog, attack, pitch card.
I don't think we mentioned Prism as like a deck to bring. Like that's one of those like very good decks at playing locally because one mistake means Prism just kind of steamrolls you.
Mhm.
Yep. And you should know, or at least have an idea of how many like KOs and whatnot are actually in the room that you have to deal with.
Yep.
So agreed.
It's never good to encourage people to play Prism though, because then you get more people like the Kano truthers who like they fall in love with the hero and they only play that hero and they don't actually know how to play Fab.
The amount of people who
Yeah,
are
but that's your choice to make.
Brand,
If you want to run your
I
RTN,
don't want
think
to send
Prism's
them
a good
down the
pick.
path, man. I don't want to give them any advice of leading them down the foolishness.
I always see new players and they're like playing Prism, and like this is their first deck, and I'm just like, how did you end up on Prism? Like, who let you do this? Like, I would never let a new player be like, this game is hard enough to ever win a game when you're brand new, but then also playing Prism, like you will never win a game. Yeah. It'll take you like 4 months to ever even win a game. Like, it's like, well, which one of your friends like hates you? Like, it's like they're like, hey, you should play Flesh and Blood. Here, play Prism. You and I should play, and I will win every match because you will never beat me with this. It's too complicated. Like, it's too sensitive on that side. I understand like the deck's fun, but that is not. I don't know. You have to be really resilient to like start on Prism and be able to take months of losing. I mean, when I started, I didn't win a game for a week and like a week and a half straight. Right, when I started playing, it was just Joe beating me up for a week and a half, and then I beat him on Bravo Showstopper once, and I said, oh, "It's clicking, we're getting there."
at locals, yesterday it was a very funny interaction of a Prism who's been like playing the game for a while, like good illusionist player, seasoned, playing against someone who just started playing Fab like 1 or 2 months ago, is basically playing like a I think they just transitioned from like the max armory deck into like getting some Puffin cards, playing Puffin, and they're just like blocking with a card, being like, yeah, I want to block with this card because it doesn't work in my hand. And then the Prism picks up the Herald and puts it in the graveyard, and the guy's like, oh yeah, it's a popper, it has Phantasm. Just like sweating, like mauling that they just lost their whole turn. It was great.
Yeah, that's what I mean. New players should play like aggro decks.
Ira.
No, Ira is not strong enough.
Oh,
no, but Ira is great for learning the games.
I think
because
so.
The thing about Ira is you actually only need to spend like 10% of your brain on your own turns because it's so straightforward, and then you can actually like learn the game from the opponent's POV. I think like you actually get to like understand what your opponent's deck is doing because your strategy is so like straightforward.
I mean, I agree. You'll just still never win a game. Like, you can be good at Ira and you just won't win games. I think it is important for someone to have some level of success, or at least see the ability to like get there or have good turns or do something. And so
Yeah.
like playing these like slow grindy decks in current FAB, I don't think is a good way for new players to play the game. I don't think it's realistic for them to have like the highs and lows of actually how the game feels to play. It might be too boring, especially when your opponent is doing fun things and you're just like Kadachi 2 for 6. Like,
Yeah.
while we might enjoy some of that level of play, that complexity doesn't exist in the game currently. You would have to match it with another deck that's also just like you. If you played Ira Mirrors or something against each other, then maybe that's like a different world to live in. But I think you should have new players. I think this is why Aurora was so popular, is because it was a rather simple deck to play that was incredibly, like, really powerful. You could actually win games just like being a new player on that. In the same vein, I would give players like KO or Phi or like heroes more along those lines. They need to have some level of like get lucky upside, I think, in order to get the feeling of, oh, I did something powerful. You'll never feel like you did something powerful when you first start playing Flesh and Blood if it's Ira.
Oh, I don't agree at all. But that's okay.
Well, Ira, if you're playing like the Armory deck out the box, right, where there's no like dual threat, there's no
Yeah,
like.
just literally
Yeah.
put dual threat in the deck and it's achieved
But you also
Maybe.
have to change the deck to play Kadachis too if you're going to play dual threat, right?
for
Yeah.
sure.
Like the one out of the box is like Edge of Autumn. It's not playing all the zero power blue or zero cost blues, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Or play Chase the Tail like Naib. There's your power spin.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather a new player play like Dash.io than decks like that, I think.
Mm.
Because at least they're getting to do a bunch of things. And if you come from other card games where like you're used to taking more actions or doing more things, I think it's going to feel weird coming to this card game if you don't feel like a lot of decisions that you can make on your turn.
I don't know.
Okay.
I got into the game playing Blitz Dorinthia. I said, no block. Here's all my reactions and pumps.
So Dash.io.
No think.
Exactly. You said no blocks. I'm going to do a bunch of things on my turn that I like to do that feel powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like no
definitely
sequencing though.
Yeah.
That was Dorinthia was actually just like, here's all my stuff.
Yeah. I just think you should play a deck where it's no blocks. I'm going to do a bunch of things on my turn.
Hmm.
It's probably like the best way to start playing the game.
Sounds
Like,
like
'cause you-
Prism.
I don't know if my soul as a new player could have handled being popped. Like we can't handle it as like a player nowadays. Like, can you imagine? It's like day 2 of playing the game.
I played against new players
gonna
and just pop every turn. It doesn't feel good on either side.
No. I don't know. I've branched out into other games to play or dealt with other like card game people. It's like a special type to be able to play Flesh and Blood and just lose for a week straight. There's like most card game players can't do that. And I've talked to people about it because everywhere I go, like, and I'm playing like Riftbound, I'm just like, I always end up talking about Flesh and Blood while I'm there. Like, have you heard about our savior Flesh and Blood? Happens quite often. And that's like one of the things I always mention. But I mentioned how like I lost for like 1 week straight when I started playing Flesh and Blood. And that was like the most exciting thing that I could ever see in a card game. Like, I can't win
Agreed.
any games. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen in a card game. Because like that means I could win all of the games. Like,
Yeah.
Nothing's worse than like sitting down first time playing a card game and winning, and you're like, oh no,
Agreed.
I won the first game I played. Oh, this game has suck. This must be a terrible game. Like,
Yeah.
I can relate.
that's how I look at it. I think that's how probably a lot of FAB players look at it, but that's not how like the general public they're looking to play card games.
Mm-hmm. You have the FAB switch was turned on in your brain,
Yeah.
You have the right mode to enter into Flesh and Blood. You're prepared to be defeated 1 million times, Dark Souls style.
Well, it's also just like in a card game, that's just like not real life. Like, you don't just lose every single time you play a card game. Like, you should just get lucky and win one of the times, right? Like, like in any other game, they're just gonna get like they're gonna get screwed on lands or they're gonna miss drops. Your favorite thing that happens in card games. So you should just like win some of the games by accident. But that just like never happens, and that's like that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, I agree.
obviously that levels off when you both get to like a good enough skill level, then it becomes a card game again. But like when you're first starting and someone else has just played more than you or is better at the game than you, it's just like you're just not winning anything.
Mm-hmm. I'll try my hardest to throw, but yeah, you're right.
Fair. We didn't talk about Jarl that much, but I do think
Mhm.
Fatigue Jarl probably has a spot in this meta as well. I know some people don't believe, but I think it should be a way to make that deck work that is playable. Everything's been toned down to like enough that I think it should be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Yeah,
who's
I would need to
actually
understand the
willing-
Gravy matchup more. Because I think Syndra was like a big appeal for playing Fatigue Girl. Like with that going
Yeah,
away. I'm not sure.
The last time I played the matchup, it was always scary on the other side because at some point you just lose your compass, and then you got to play the game without your compass. And really, what determined that game was how much damage you dealt before you lost your compass. But if they're running like Outeds and you're slower and you have less like damage in your attacks because the decks change and more tipples are gone, then it should be pretty okay for Jarl. Like Jarl should have the time to find the combo more often to be able to actually blow up your compass.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also, just Outeds make the matchup way different.
For sure. Then what, like Kasai's kind of scary. KO can be really scary depending on what's in their deck. Kind of depends on how many of those show up, I think.
I think it's actually more about like how quickly can you get into the coronet peaking combo, because a lot of these decks, when a lot of these decks start really losing damage potential when they lose a whole card from hand.
Agreed.
Especially when you're naturally just playing D-Reacts and you have more blocks. Like if you have an arsenal, you go through, you block with 3 cards, you take like 2 damage, and then you're just like Coronet Peak, and then you get them in a peak cycle with a D-React set. You're like, I mean, it's like really hard to start pushing anything through at that point.
Yeah, no, it's
I think
interesting.
people really underestimate the Coronet Peak cycle of just like, yeah, I'm not hammering every turn to get the game low. I'm literally going to fatigue you. But I'm going to use peak to make all your big turns small.
Yeah, I'd say the counter is kind of like the decks I mentioned and like Marionette. These decks are currently built in a way that they're very good at converting every turn, which can put you into like the opposite cycle. Or like your healing never gets realized, you never get to peak. And then Tunic is a card that exists.
Tunic does exist. So every 3 turns, if you're in the cycle, you can get out of it.
Yeah, like it gets really interesting when you're on like a full fatigue build. Like, when I played against Jason at Worlds, I ran out of time, so I couldn't really like figure out the end game properly. But it got to a state where I'm just like, you're not going to kill me, so I'm just like not going to attack you for 3 turns until my tunic's up, and then I'll attack you with 5 cards. It's like you can't get into states where like your opponent's like navigating it that way. But that's not like a flesh and blood muscle that we often flex.
Flex and blood, yeah.
Flex and blood. Where we're like, you're playing like your deck instead of like turn by turn cycle. It's like for RTNs, you'll probably catch everyone off guard and they just won't do stuff like that. But those are just like the counterpoints.
Well, now they know. If they listen to the podcast,
yeah,
they
there you
know
go.
that they're like, oh, I never thought you could do that to get out of the peak combo.
Yeah, you can just like not attack them for 3 turns. But if they're playing like sigils, then they just always have it on those turns, of course.
Yep, of course.
But if they're gone, like once you get through the sigil cycle and you failed to pressure them before they healed all the health, then you can pivot to like okay, I'm just gonna sculpt like a very strong 5-card hand and hope you don't. What's the dominate card?
Okanol.
No, not Okanol. I mean Okanol too. The blue makes you discard 2 cards.
Oh, Asunder?
Terra Sonda, yeah. Just make sure you have like armor up for these things if you like take a fall off turn.
Makes sense. I don't know. My goal is to get top 4 at Greg's and then play again for the rest of the season that I go to.
Nice. I hope you do.
Same.
Now my goal is top 4, and then I probably can't play any more events, so I can actually play Nats.
Cool. Anything else before we go into some podcast questions?
Nope.
Nope. These questions are asked by premium members of our Metafy. If you'd like to be able to ask questions on the podcast, find people to play with, ask questions in the Discord, feel free to join in the link below. First is from Wardo77. Will there be a tier list video specific to the RTN season? Thanks. There will be. Not this week, but there will be. Trust us, we will not fail to find time to do a tier list video, because
Nice,
that is
yeah.
always the most fun. Bryn asks, what does fatigue by damage mean? I get that when you mill someone out and block out all their damage and they have no cards left, that's fatigue. But whenever I hear someone say fatigue by damage, they're usually saying that they deal damage till the opponent is dead. Isn't that just regular winning the game? How is this term useful?
Okay, so
Go ahead,
how I
Noah.
see it is fatigue by damage means you're attacking with attacks that have a very large number that don't actually do damage to the opponent because the opponent can block. You don't have evasion. But when they block, they use more cards from their deck than you do attacking. So this is stuff like Thunderquake, Glacial Footsteps, Cranial Crush, Spinal Crush, right? Basically, Guardian is like known for this, where they spend 1 card from their deck attacking, and you spend 3 cards from your deck defending. And so, because they're presenting this tall number every single turn, that's how they end up fatiguing you. This happens a lot in like Silver Age games nowadays, where, or even like in general, like lower power formats, where you effectively don't have a win condition type card in your deck. Like you don't have a way of presenting evasive damage or some sort of other way to win through their defenses on a given turn. So instead, you just run them out of cards because they have to spend more cards in their deck blocking than you do attacking.
Yep. It can also happen naturally in a game state where your opponent has to block or they will die to your attacks because their health is low. So if they take enough hammer swings or enough Kadachis, they eventually get into range where these items will kill them. However, like they can block, but they just block the rest of their deck forever and then lose.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're just like they're at 1 health and you have Kadachis and you're like, I'm just gonna, it's called Kadachi lock for a reason. You just eat literally their
Yeah.
entire deck till eventually it gets through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
it is
even be at,
effectively.
go ahead, Dan.
No, I was just saying, it is effectively winning the game normally. It reaches the game state where, without presenting, like going over the top of your block value, that you're just in a cycle of blocking until your deck runs out. Like you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's one of the stronger ways to win because it doesn't revolve around any specific cards, right? If you just make your deck such that it has Kadachis or you're like RKO, for example, where all your blues are something that take multiple cards from them because they have to fear the threat of activation of your hero power. So stuff like this, I think, is efficient ways of winning the game without needing to put cards that are like, for example, you don't have to put Last Ditch Effort in your deck. Like Gravy Bones used to play Last Ditch Effort so that they could like actually close the game out at the end, like Last Ditch Effort into Last Ditch Effort into an ally swing, and then okay, the game's over. That's an example of like, actually winning the game in a traditional sense, whereas this strategy of just swinging big attacks or swinging Kadachi type attacks when they're at 1 wins the game in a more deterministic sense, in the fact that your opponent, even if they started at like 22 cards and you were at like 15 cards, you're spending way fewer cards per turn cycle because they're needing to block in order to not reach 0 life total.
I think RKO is the best example you gave because
Mhm.
RKO often wins by fatiguing via damage.
Yeah.
Because like if they're just coming in for 9 every turn, but you can't just take 9. Like you have to give them 3 cards, but you can always give them 3 cards, so they can't actually deal health damage.
Yeah.
But if you always give them 3 cards, you lose the game. So like it's just fatigue via damage.
Yep. Exactly.
Because if you had infinite cards, then they would deal 0 damage with this play pattern, and then like the game would go on indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. In fact,
that's how I see the term used.
You would probably actually end up like reverse fatiguing them somehow, right? If you could like block with 4 drones every turn, and then they couldn't get above that threshold, then yeah, they're spending real attacks, and you would actually end up winning.
Cool. Frio says, "Hey, not a question, but I wanted to share some terminology that might be useful when discussing randomness in FAB. You've talked a lot about randomness of KO versus other heroes in FAB and tabletop game design. There's a term for this called input randomness versus output randomness. Input randomness is when random elements are introduced before the player makes a decision, like what cards you draw each turn cycle. Output randomness is randomness that happens after the player has made a decision, like rolling scabs or discarding to Blood Rush. How do you feel about using output randomness as a way to talk about, for example, KO randomness?
Yeah, I've used imprecise terms. I'm now realizing I usually refer to the output randomness as like mid-turn variance. So it'd be like when Victor blocks with test of strength, right? It's like it wasn't calculated at the start of the turn what the outcome is going to be. Now we're doing an RNG check, and then we see if you draw a card, we see if the opponent discards a card, a test of Iron Grip, this kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's cool to have this concept of output versus input. I'm educated.
Wow, we've done it.
Yes, very good.
Now, if only we remember to use the term at later in the future dates when talking about these things.
Yeah, it is a fire term. Boom.
Yeah. Fighting Walloon says, you are playing your favorite current hero. What is the flesh bag play that causes you the most trouble?
You can answer first, Dan.
I'm trying to think. It for sure, obviously, talk about Marionette. It for sure involves I've already like clogged my arsenal like a fool with I don't know, like leave no witness or something that needs an action point. And then my hand is any attack react really.
Yeah, arsenal full that you can't resolve and then
Yep.
react in hand. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why you gotta keep your arsenal flexible.
Yeah, I would say it's
My
basically the same in the mirror match too. Of like you have a 2-cost attack in your arsenal, and you kept a 3-card hand. So then you go like Wild Ride, draw a discard. You have a blue in hand, 1 floating. Normally it'd be claw plus attack, but then they flesh bag you, and then you neither claw nor attack. You instead are sad.
Yep.
Uh,
My current favorite deck. I think it's also KO. My current favorite deck. Yeah, something similar. The fact that you can't play tear limb from limb until the hat's gone is also like makes me the most sad.
yeah, or it just eats your claw.
Yeah.
What else is annoying? Trying to think of like what other decks exist. I would say Fleshbag can get a lot of value into Ira as well. If they're like, it's just something they always have to think about if they're planning on swinging a large attack, but they have like a clogged arsenal, like you said, Dan, where they're planning on doing like Kadachi attack or singular Kadachi attack, something like this, and they have another card that doesn't work, like a D reactor or something in their arsenal, and then you end up bagging their big attack, and then they're screwed.
I mean, it gets a lot of value against most heroes.
Yeah.
At least guaranteed that one good turn. I mean, Prism, it gets like infinite value.
Yeah. Prism is also very strong.
Yeah. You are watching someone play your favorite hero. What is a play that tells you that they are a high skill player with your hero?
I mean, the highest skill play you can do on KO is casting Wild Ride with no Beast Within in your hand, drawing it off the top, and then discarding it. That's an extremely high skill play. Only the highest skill players can make plays like
the
that.
Highest skill players.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's pretty hard to have really high skill plays with KO, but another high skill play is with Mario. You haven't blocked with your hat yet. You made a Chelicera on turn 0, and then you flip into Trapdoor on turn 1. That's usually a pretty strong play. High skill players make that kind of a play.
Yep.
It's really hard to answer this question, honestly.
I have 2 that came to mind for Mario.
Okay, good.
One is having a 5-card hand and your opponent marked, and leading with a blue stealth attack with no reaction backup, and having no fear throwing it at their face, knowing that they won't block it. The other is having a Kiss of Death Black Widow form setup and not using your snaps when like your opponent blocks in a way that sends the message that they like clearly have a plan for this.
Yeah,
Basically, in that scenario, you just want to like play your pumps, but save your boots because they had a plan to dump their cards anyway, so you're not going to realize the full value.
I'll give a chain reference one. When I see them, like it's like maybe like Shackle 3, Shackle 2, and I just see them block with like every attack in their hand, and then they go to their turn, and I'm like, perfect. You're like, you know that you have to hit an attack after your shackles to win the game. You can't just hold and then be like, this is good enough. That's what I appreciate seeing.
I would say there's some like good skilled plays from Gravy Bones, as much as the hero sucks and sucks to play against.
It's
There's
usually
definitely
when
a lot
they
of
use when they use their compass. There's so many different spots where they use their compass. If they use it like there'll be spots in the turn where they use it right away, and you're just like, okay, you're not there yet, and then like you see it like they do like 2 actions and then it's compass, and you're like, oh, that's clean.
Yeah. I think it's also when they have a fearless, not necessarily like talking about the trolling plays of like, oh yeah, I fearless to make you discard 2 cards, but the fearless knowing when it's best used as a blue on the turn because they need to push compared to making you basically treating it like a 3 block. I think those are actually like, as much as the card is annoying, it's definitely a mark of skill knowing when it's proper to use the ability versus use it for the pitch value or block on a later chain link.
Yeah, normally if I see them like someone attack in and they don't fearless it, I'm like, oh, they're actually good.
Yeah.
There's so many times when it's incorrect to do the fearless play.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good example. King of Mice asks, with the recent bans, do you think that the sup heroes will finally have a chance to make a meta impact? I mean, only RKO.
Only RKO.
Yeah, only RKO can be played right now. The other ones are whatever. They're heroes in the game of Flesh and Blood, but they can't be played.
You could top 4 with Lyeth. You could.
I was gonna say, yeah, the revered heroes can basically just like never be played. Like,
I don't really remember when we thought Tough Nut had a chance to be like broken.
Who?
Tough Nut. Like on release, we were like kind of hyped on like this might be a thing.
Yeah,
but it's not a playable hero.
No, like, it's not. It was nice to think that maybe it could be.
When we talked earlier from Bryn's question about fatigue by damage, Tough Nut is the hero that wants to do that in theory of like, okay, I'll just attrition them down by blocking. All my cards are worth more than theirs on defense and on offense, but then you realize you can't actually win the game because you have to clear your hand to rock, so you don't really have this like deterministic fatigue by damage win con. So yeah, I think unless they come up with some sort of solution, maybe more cards that can be spent from your hand at instant speed or with go again or something to let you more efficiently rock when your opponent doesn't want to let you, could make him good.
Foxmane asks, if you had to pick a teammate to be stranded on a desert island with, which teammate would you choose and why? I have 2 for this one.
Oh, okay. You have answers? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I have answers. First, I would choose Noah. Okay. And I would choose Noah because if I'm suffering, I'd want him to suffer with me.
Okay.
But there is a second. Noah is very smart, so that he could figure out a way to get off the island with some of his big brains. So there might be an advantage there, but mostly it's just that he has to suffer because I'm suffering. Because that would bring me endless pleasure. And then
great choice.
And then I would also choose Fino because at least I would have a good time.
Yeah.
Oh. Fino came to mind too. I don't know who's like resourceful. Who was like a Boy Scout or something. I feel like Shane was probably like into that stuff.
Yeah, I could see Shane or Connor have like Boy Scout roots.
Someone's got to know, like, have wilderness experience though. I'm trying to think who that would be.
I don't know who that would be.
I'm certainly not one of wilderness experience.
Oh, I might pick Jason actually. He's got like strong hospitality background. He'll like set us up real nice.
Well, there's also the question of, do I get to see the island before? There's like all these parts and stuff on it. Then maybe like.
Oh, it's for sure a nice island, right? Like we're living good on this thing.
The question says deserted island too. Like the island could be lit.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a desert.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, it could be a lush paradise.
It could be terrible. Can you imagine? I get stranded on the island. I'm like, they're like, and choose one person to be on the island with you, and I'm like, it's not going to help my chances any. But if I'm going to suffer, Noah has to be here to. And then you just like pop in next week. Why? Why did you do this to me? Because it has to be done. Like, you can't be happy. I can't see you be happy.
Jeez.
Dude, it's funny because I was gonna choose you, but not for such nefarious reasons. I was just gonna choose you because you're smaller. It's like if we're struggling finding food, you probably need like less nourishment, but you're also capable of eating anything, so you'd be able to like not have that, cloud your mental if we have to resort to eating bugs or something. We would remain level headed, I think, throughout the whole time and try to find a way out.
Yeah, I think we're all good picks for level-headedness.
I agree. Yeah, Dan would be my second choice as well.
I feel like Cody's a little more.
I wouldn't want
more
Dan to
scrappy than
suffer.
I, though.
Now that we're talking about suffering,
that's nice.
It's got to be Cody.
There's no one I'd rather suffer with
Yeah.
and watch suffer.
Oh.
That's funny. Well, I think it's everything.
Yeah, that's great.
I can't
That's a
wait.
great
I'm
episode.
I'm super excited to come back on the podcast next week and talk about playing Flesh and Blood.
Yep.
I can't wait to go to RTNs. I just got to decide what deck I'm playing. And hopefully I can resist the lure of the Fatigue Jarl deck. But I might not be able to resist.
Dude, it's so unfun.
But it's so fun.
Ugh.
Okay, see you in the new year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.